What is up? Today we're going to be looking at a couple of flagships that you can pick up for $500 to $600. So the first one that I'm super interested in is the ROG Phone 2. So this is around $570 on Amazon right now. All links will be down below, and I really like this phone. So you have a really cool design. It's a glass back, of course, aluminum frame, and it has a really nice gamer design to it, which I think is cool, very unique. You have an AMOLED display. It's a 1080p display, 6.59 inches. You also have 120 hertz display on here and 240 hertz touch sensing. So this is going to be very good for gaming. So you have Android 9. Of course, you're going to get Android 10 in the ROG UI, which you can actually turn off if you don't like the look of it. The Snapdragon 855 Plus is it's going to be a beast for gaming still. The Adreno 640, no expandable storage on here, but you do have 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. So this thing will fly through pretty much any game for a long time. Now for the camera setup, you have a 48 megapixel wide and a 13 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 30 or 60 FPS, and you have a selfie camera that shoots in 24 megapixels 1080p. So the cameras are okay from what I've seen. They're just okay. That's definitely not the highlight of the device, but you also have stereo speakers on here, which actually have 2 dedicated amplifiers. So from what I've seen, these speakers are massively loud. Very loud speakers on here, something that I really love in a smartphone. So you have a 3.5 millimeter jack, which is nice to see. NFC on board for mobile payments, USB type C, of course. And here's one of the best things about this phone: you have a pretty beefy 6000 milliamp battery with 30-watt fast charging. So it's going to be excellent for heavy gaming. So you want a big battery for heavy gaming. You have the power bank and reverse wireless charging on here as well at 10 watts, so you can charge other wireless headphones or phones. So very interested in this one. The next phone is the OnePlus 7 Pro for around $600, and this phone is an absolute beast. It's my daily driver, my favorite phone on this list. I think it's a great value for the price that you're paying. So you have a very beautiful display. It's a full screen display, no notch, aluminum frame, glass back. It's a very nice phone. It's got the curve on it, which makes it feel super premium. You have the fluid AMOLED display. It's a 1440p display, 516, a beautiful display, 90 hertz, super smooth. It's just an overall beast of a display. So you have Android 10 on top of Oxygen OS. You have the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640, which will pretty much play any game on high. Doesn't matter what you throw at it, multitasking, everything is super smooth. You also have 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, but no micro SD card support on here. So the cameras on here are actually pretty good. They've been updating the software, and I have noticed changes in the camera. So it's a 48 megapixel wide and 8 megapixel telephoto and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K. You have the pop-up camera up front that shoots in 1080p, and it's overall really good cameras. You have great dynamic range, pretty good color. It's a good camera. It gets a lot of flack, but I actually like the cameras. They're decent on here. So you actually have a stereo speaker setup on here, which is pretty loud. It's not the loudest stereo speaker setup, but it's stereo speaker, so it gets louder than a single speaker. You also have NFC on board for mobile payments, USB type C, a 4000 milliamp battery, which lasts you about a day and a half. If you're a heavy user, a day, no problem. And you have 30 watt warp charge on here, so it just charges extremely fast. So I never have an issue with this phone not having wireless charging. Since you have that 30 watt, it just charges fast. So a really good phone. Next is going to be the Pixel 4. So I actually sold this one, but the price came down, so it's around $630, and the price is definitely right for this base model. It's a really good phone, one of the best camera phones that I've personally tested. I even think it's a little better than the Galaxy S20 Plus in my opinion, but I have to put them side by side again. So you do have an aluminum frame in a glass back. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. The design is okay. It's not my favorite design, but you do have a POLED display. It's a 5.7 inch, so kind of compact for 2020, 1080p, and it's also a 90 hertz display. So this thing is just super butter smooth. Of course, you have Android 10 with stock version of Android, the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640. So gaming on here, you'll be able to play everything on high high settings, no problem. You do not have micro SD support, 64 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM on the base model. So the cameras are what's impressive with this phone. You have a 12 megapixel and a 16 megapixel telephoto, shoots in 4K, and then you have a dual 8 megapixel camera on the front that shoots in 1080p. Now the cameras are definitely the highlight. It just takes beautiful photos, great dynamic range, great color, depth. Everything on this camera is great, and the video is also pretty good as well. So if you're really looking for a camera smartphone, then this is going to be the one that you should really look at, or the XL model, but that's going to be much more expensive. So you do have stereo speakers, which are very loud. One of my favorite stereo speakers on any smartphone. You do have NFC on board, USB Type-C, and a 2,800 milliamp battery, which is small, but this will get you through a day, surprisingly, even with that 90 hertz on. Now you have 18-watt fast charging and wireless charging on board as well. Alright, so the next phone is the Galaxy S10. So this is a really good one at $664, and it's got a aluminum frame and glass back, a really nice design. I really like the design on this one. IP68 dust and water resistant. You have a 6.1 inch dynamic AMOLED display. Samsung makes some of the best displays, 1440p 550 for the PPI. A really nice display with the little punch hole on the right side. You have Android 10 with One UI 2.0. You do have the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640, so again, gaming on here is going to be no issue. Now with the base model, you have 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM on here, and you do have micro SD support. The cameras on here are very good as well. A 12 megapixel wide, a 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, shoots in 4K. You also have a selfie camera that's 10 megapixels that also shoots in 4K. So this is really good for people that's looking to vlog and stuff like that. And it's the typical Samsung pictures that you would expect. It's pretty much the same pictures on the Galaxy S10e, if you guys remember. So we do have stereo speakers on here, which are great, and you have the 3.5mm jack on here, which I absolutely love. So you do have NFC on board for your mobile payments, and the fingerprint scanner is under the display, which is always cool. And you do have a 3,400 milliamp battery with 15-watt fast charging, with that wireless charging at 15 watts. So this is a really good phone for the price. Last on the list is the Galaxy Note 10. So I've actually been looking at the renewed version for $530, and I think that's a really good price for this phone. So this might be the one that I actually pick up. So it's got the glass back, aluminum frame, IP rated. You do have the beautiful dynamic AMOLED display. It's a 6.3 inch display, so a little on the smaller side, I guess, for a Note, but it's a 1080p 401 for the PPI. And you do have the Android 10 with the One UI 2.0, of course, Snapdragon 855, Adreno 640. Gaming on here, everything is going to be really beautiful on that display, and it's going to run super fast. So you do have no memory card support on this one, but you do have 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. You have really good cameras on here, a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, 16 megapixel ultra wide, pretty much the same cameras on the S10 Plus. So you do have 4K video, 10 megapixel selfie camera, shoots in 4K as well. The same stereo speaker setup, no problem. This one does not have the 3.5mm jack, unfortunately. You do have NFC on board for mobile payments, USB Type-C, a 3,500 milliamp battery with 25 watt fast charging, with the 12 watt wireless charging, along with the reverse charging at 9 watts. So this one is really interesting, definitely because of the S Pen if you're looking to draw on your phone, or you just like using the pen to navigate. Then this is going to be a very interesting phone. So thanks for watching this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.